Now, as I'm sure you, my ever so lovely viewers, are wondering to yourself how a video topic like this actually got its start, well then the answer is simple. Hate. You see, much like a lot of my previous videos, sometimes I just try my absolute best to relax for a bit, and then something will just randomly pop into my mind that'll continuously piss me off until I've made a video about said topic. And what's today's video topic all about? Negativity. Yes, I absolutely love being a bitter prick. Now, for those of you who haven't been keeping up with me on my Twitter or my community posts, I've started making it a habit of logging every single game I beat and ranking them based on how much I enjoyed them. And sometimes the ranking I give said game doesn't go off very well with a lot of people. But why is that? It's not like I'm trying to objectively say that what I played is the best thing under the sun, or that it trumps your favorite games, just a game I feel I enjoyed a lot more than what the popular opinion of which would have you believe. And that got me thinking, what are some of the most overhated games that I've played that I really liked, but so many people just seem to hate with all their might? Well, in today's video, I decided to wrangle some of them up and put them into this video to highlight what games I feel didn't deserve the hate. Now, before I properly get into it, I had to dig into both my completed games list, as well as watch a shit ton of videos and read a bunch of articles just to figure out what games are mostly considered overhated.
And I also got help from people in my Discord server, which you should probably join now too, you selfish
And after a little bit of digging, I decided to choose 10 different games for this video that I feel fit this category. So in order to save my viewer attention, let me not waste any more of your time because I'm anxious for the hate comments calling me an idiot for even thinking that some of these games are good to begin with. So let's start off with the fact that this is a game that is hated at all is just a mystery to me. But for me personally, I feel like this game is just such a massive improvement in both its gameplay and visuals when comparing it to the first game. I mean, what other game aside from Manhunt is worthy enough to have the Live League logo built into the game's UI? Now, despite some graphical glitches and a terrible final boss fight, for almost a good 90% of my playthrough, I was just having a blast going through this cringely titled Hell A, killing zombies with some of the best feeling first-person melee combat I've ever played in a video game. Yes, I do understand that there are a couple of issues when it comes to talking about Dead Island 2. You know, like the development cycle of the game, the story being shit, and the fact that it was full price when it released being the major ones. Now, firstly, I can't really comment on the story because would you be surprised if I was to tell you that I actually like playing my video games and not watching them?
Kojima is the exception.
And secondly, I'm not allowed to talk about the game's price because I played this on Game Pass. But the fact that this game launched at $70, yeah, I can definitely see why that might have stung some people and would have left them wanting a little bit more. And I think I'll agree with you on that. This doesn't feel like it was worth $70. A more normal $60 to $50 seems a little bit more fair. But let me just tell you, from my perspective, this is one of the best games that I played in 2024. Just because I found the gameplay loop so cathartic, and they reference time splitters in the arcades, and just by virtue of that inclusion, it should win Game of the Year for the next 30 years by default. But still, I think the game is great, and I really think it's still worth giving a go provided you play it on Game Pass, or wait for a hefty price drop. But just to fan the flames from the degen rioters outside my house,
Dying Light is still king.
now, once again, another game that I, for the life of me, cannot understand how it got nearly as much hate as it did. Unless you were a PC gamer, because then you guys are just clearly the problem. Now, before I go into a little bit more detail, the Callisto Protocol, I really liked. But still, if you want me to clarify a few things to you so that you don't die from an aneurysm caused by your utter frustration for this video, then allow me to do so. The Callisto Protocol is good, but not as good as games like Dead Space 1, I'm talking about the original in 2008, Dead Space 2, Resident Evil 4's original, Resident Evil 4's remake, the Dead Space remake, Alone in the Dark, Silent Hill 2's remake, and not even Silent Hill Shattered Memories on the Nintendo Wii. Yes, I think this Wii title, which you all should go play by the way, where you get to have free shrink sessions, is better than the Callisto Protocol. Now, hopefully hopefully that lets some steam escape from your ears because I won't be so kind next time. Callisto Protocol just does a few things right in my opinion. I like the melee combat because yes, while it was janky, I could genuinely see what they were going for, and I thought for a horror game, it was pretty damn intuitive and wasn't like anything I've personally seen before. The stages look so damn good because this game is indeed a looker, and we even get to play as Mr. Dude Bro military guy from the Transformers, which shot a chopper in its nuts with a grenade launcher. The plot was okay. Once again, not really anything that I would consider Oscar-worthy, but the game had a pretty damn good atmosphere, some great set pieces, good and in-depth enough combat as it is, and all of that just made a pretty damn good horror game. Just a little bit more on the safer side than the games that inspired it. But I mean, I won't exactly forgive the fact that this game launched at such a horrendous state, you know, like with all the PC glitches and stuff like that, but I never personally experienced any because I primarily played this on the PS4 and the Series S, once they got added to their retrospective subscription services. So if you weren't sold on the idea of trying it out by paying for it on Steam or whatever platform there is easier ways for you to experience this game, and I 100% would recommend it. And who knows, maybe you'll learn to appreciate this game a little bit more. Now, a lot of the times I hear the term when a game is hated in a particular franchise is that it's just not a proper entry into the series. Well then, with that logic in mind, Metal Gear Rising is the worst Metal Gear Solid game because there's not a lot of sneaking and the cutscenes aren't that long. Therefore, Metal Gear Survive is better because at least they're sneaking. Woo! Yes, if you couldn't tell, just because something isn't a proper game in a franchise, that doesn't mean that the game itself sucks. And that's how I feel when describing DMC, Devil May Cry, and another game on this list that I'll get into later. Oh my goodness. Devil May Cry 2013 is still probably one of the best action hack-and-slash games I've ever played on the Xbox 360. Jared Leto Dante excluded. Bro literally looks like he was a rejected bassist for Fallout Boy. The levels were all so well designed and visual eye candy. The gameplay still had great flow with its normal sword combat and you needing to switch between your angel and demon weapons to deal damage to certain enemies and to rack up even more insane combos. And the soundtrack by Noisia and Combi Christ were just A+. So just because Dante doesn't look like a pensioner tapping away at the screen of a slot machine, that doesn't mean that this game sucks at all. Devil May Cry 5 is still better though. This is an example of a game that, in my opinion, fixed every single problem I had with its predecessor. But when you look online, you swore you walked into a room filled with woman dogs because everyone is just bitching. Yes, Lords of the Fallen 2014 is one of the worst games I played from that year and is probably the worst Souls-like I think I've ever played. But its sequel, or reboot, or whatever the hell you want to call it, how do you people not like this? A bunch of the reasons I can think of is probably that this game launched an entire year after Elden Ring, and everything about it just feels like a step backwards for Souls-like design after Elden Ring innovated on its formula 10 times over what FromSoft was best known for. And Lords of the Fallen definitely is, but that's like comparing Mad Max to fucking Food Fight. It's not really a fair comparison, is it? No, but if you look at this game in a vacuum, this game really just doesn't suck whatsoever. It does have some bullshit in it though, but not enough to the point where I wanted to hurl my controller through my monitor, because then I'd really be fucked. But no, the speed was fixed, something that the first game was sorely lacking in. The environments were so damn beautiful in its own gothic way thanks to Unreal Engine 5. The game ran a lot better for me than most people would have you believe, almost 60 frames per second non-stop, except for like 2% of what I played, and the combat is every single damn thing I love about a Souls-like. So why the hell did no one else? You just go back and play the 2014 game, and then you'll probably realize how much better we actually have it now. Now, I'm about to say something extremely controversial here. Not that it matters at this point, because I'm pretty damn sure my IP's already been leaked somewhere, and I should go into hiding if this is about to go as badly as the ending of Outlast Whistleblower. My Batman Arkham rankings go as follows. Batman Arkham City is the best, obviously, then followed by Batman Arkham Asylum, then Batman Arkham Origins, and then finally Batman Arkham Knight. Do you see what the problem is here? Yes, this is a hill where I will happily die on because I personally think that Arkham Origins is a much better game than Arkham Knight. Why is that? Because Arkham Knight is an overbloated mess with a splintered plot, bad game design choices, like the Batmobile puzzles as an example. Oh, and the fact that the Batmobile itself sucks too, and just having a runtime that overstays its welcome. Whereas Arkham Origin, on the other hand, still feels like it's grounded in the same design philosophy that made Arkham Asylum and Arkham City such fun games. The world size was increased, but still compact enough to not overwhelm you. The plot was a prequel, but I still found it enjoyable despite us already knowing the fate of certain characters thanks to what happens in later games, and I think that the gadgets and the combat were just expanded enough to the point where it was justified in being a newer entry to this franchise. Arkham Origin is an awesome game. Stop lying to yourself. If you want to bitch about something Batman related, Gotham Knight is right there. Leave this lovely gem alone. Now, this might be the biggest surprise on this list because, yes, I am a furry. I mean, I'm a Sonic fan. And yes, I do like a shit ton of stuff that this Blue Intercourse model has been in. And while there is a lot of games in this series that you can point at and say, yeah, that sucks, why people particularly hate Sonic and the Black Knight will forever be beyond my mortal comprehension. Yes, it isn't as free roam as something like the Sonic Adventure games or Frontiers. It's not as innovative with new mechanics like in games like Unleashed or Colors. Unleashed is good too, shut the fuck up. But still, it's the simplicity that makes it so damn fun. You just go from stage to stage, watch a cutscene every now and then with these beautiful illustrated pieces, and listen to one of the best soundtracks that this entire series has ever had. And it's an overall improvement from the disaster that was Secret Rings. How this isn't a gem amongst the Sonic franchise will forever stay a mystery to me. Now, I don't think I need to tell you, but I am a massive Resident Evil fan. 2023, in fact, I dedicated a total of 3 videos to express my love for this franchise, and in 2024, the total of 2. I'm not really helping my case now, am I? And a bunch of those videos absolutely blew up, so thank you so much for that. But being a Resident Evil fan tends to mean that you keep on hearing the exact same argument of 6 being the worst game in the franchise. And maybe not the entire franchise, but definitely in the mainline entries. And whenever I hear this argument, I always have to do a facepalm because I made a video on the worst one. Resident Evil 6 indeed is a terrible horror game, and it is a terrible Resident Evil game. But much like DMC Devil May Cry, the fact that people says that this thing sucks will forever be a mystery to me. I loved going through each of these campaigns. Yes, even Chris's Call of Duty shit. I like the story because it's bad, but in a stupid Hollywood sort of way. And the gameplay was the most refined the series ever was. And dude, the amount of hours I wasted away with friends playing the campaign and mercenary mode in co-op is just amazing, and I've made some really good memories off of that. And that's not just nostalgia talking. I replay Resident Evil 6 from time to time, and I still have a great time with it. So go inside a room, lock yourself in there with Umbrella Corps and 6, and you just then go ahead and tell me which one is worse. I rest my case. So this game, once again, much like every other game on this list, will never make any sense to me as to why people hated it. Although I will say that hate was mainly warranted upon its release, and a few people have tended to grow a lot more fond to this game. I have a buddy called Proxidus who absolutely adores this game, so I'm gonna link a few of his videos down below so you can go give him some love. Now, granted, I did play this game on Game Pass on my Series S without the letterboxing, and I will 100% admit this is the best way to enjoy this game, but my first time playing The Evil Within was on the Xbox 360. Yeah, no, I was straight raw dogging that shit with none of the fucking enhancements, and I still really enjoyed my time with The Evil Within despite all of that. This game, even for when it came out, was without a doubt one of the best alternatives that we've had to a good Resident Evil style survival horror, whereas the series that inspired this franchise wouldn't stop taking its meth until 3 years later and finally rehabilitated itself. And whilst The Evil Within still doesn't even come near the greatness that Resident Evil 4's original game had, it was still a fun ride from start to finish, even though I will admit the game did feel like it was dragging from time to time, but still I'd highly recommend that you play this game and its sequel because both of them are awesome. And unlike most games in this entire list, a lot of people seem to be coming around and actually appreciating these games for what they are, as I said at the beginning of this section, and that's awesome to see. I'll admit, this is the best demo I've ever paid for. Now, yes, while that term for this game might seem a tad bit insulting to a lot of people who spent $40 on this game upon its launch, grow the fuck up. Now, I will admit, yes, Ground Zeroes being charged that much at launch is a bit disgraceful, but I personally think that that should be something that we all blame Konami for and not Kojima, because for the amount of content that you're still able to get out of this 1-2 hour at max game is staggering. You can explore this entire island freely and experiment in all different sorts of ways that the new gameplay style implemented. There were these extra fun scenarios that you could play through to get the highest score, and you can do all this while listening to some sweet tunes on your Walkman. Or if you're like me, listen to the oodles of exposition while you're busy blasting through the map. It never got old to me, and since this game is so short, it's also one of the best places to get some practice in for if you want to get into speedrunning. So yeah, there was so much good in this tiny little package for when it came out that I just legitimately can't understand why so many people dunked on it for when it came out. But hey, at least we've got the definitive experience nowadays, so these issues are kind of rectified. And finally, on this little list of mine, we have everybody's favorite Lanky Box fan, Crash Bandicoot. And these two games, for whatever reason, would seem to be what a lot of people would stare and point at when they talk about Crash Bandicoot's downfall. And I just kind of think that's stupid. Now, of course, when it comes to them, you know, being Crash Bandicoot games, I am very well aware, yes, these games are slightly different. Of course, they're gonna be placed at the bottom of the barrel because they do not come anywhere near the platforming royalty that the original games were. But come on, I think for what they are, platforming beat-em-ups with an emphasis on hijacking these beasts to unlock more different kinds of gameplay styles, along with having some of the most unquestionably funny plots in the entire franchise, these games are great. They might not be breaking any new grounds, but that's another thing. Why the hell can't you just sit down and enjoy these games for what they are? Not every single game is gonna be God of War 2018, Breath of the Wild, Resident Evil 4, Gears of War, furry shades of game. Sometimes you just need to take a game for what it is and enjoy what it has to offer. Yes, I'm not saying that games like these need to be unplayable pieces of shit like Redfall or Ride the Hell Retribution or anything along those lines, but just sit down, have fun, and stop bitching for fuck's sakes. But any case, I really hope that you guys could have sat down and maybe found some new appreciation for some games, or if you were hesitant because of the bad reputation that these games have received, took my word in consideration and decided to try these games out for yourself. But any case, I have been John from the channel with the freakishly long name. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. If you guys I want to actually try and make this into a series, so if you guys can think of any more overhated games that I just can't think of off the top of my head, then please go nuts and recommend something, because I would like to make a follow-up to this video. But yeah, if you guys also would like to support the channel, then you could do so by becoming a member or joining the Patreon. And speaking of that, special thanks to every single channel member, especially top-tier Patreon supporter Mr. Aftonboy and top-tier channel member Eric. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. So please stop bitching about video games, it's cringe.